Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy and welcome to my channel. And well, today we're going to be taking a look at the second game in the Halo Master Chief Collection. Now, I didn't really see Halo as any fun until the second game came out. The first one had some good ideas, but it had terrible stage design, and the original graphics had not aged well, and its story was, well, average at best. Halo 2 came out and improved upon the original, and it did a good job. It improved in the graphics, storytelling, and the stage design got a huge boost. Of course, today we're not really going to be taking a look at the original Xbox version, but the version that is found in the Master Chief Collection. It is an improvement upon the original game. Yeah, but like a lot of things in the Master Chief Collection, some of the bugs do get in the way. The story starts off a short time after the original game. Halo has been destroyed, the Flood is finished for now, and the Covenant are routed, and for the time being there's peace. Master Chief is back on Earth getting some medals, enjoying a little R&R, but before he's able to fully relax, the Covenant have found Earth and start attacking. Humanity's worst fears have come true, and it's up to the Chief to protect as much of the planet as he can. Meanwhile, the alien commander that was heading the forces that the Chief beat the crap out of on Halo is now being condemned for not stopping the Chief. Branded quite literally a heretic, he has a chance for redemption by taking the role of the Arbiter, basically meaning that he has to keep peace within the Covenant and be a pawn of the leadership. The story is interesting and has a few surprises, and we learn more about the Covenant and their politics and their hierarchy especially. And things even go to hell in a handbasket when their inner politics lead to a civil war within the group. Throw in a giant, really ugly worm that leads the Flood called the Gravemind, and you got yourself an actually interesting sci-fi story. One of the things they did with this remake is that while the original game cutscenes were all in-game, this one decided to go with FMV scenes. If you set it to play the remake, you will be getting these FMV scenes. This does have some of the problems with FMV, brief load times, graphics that don't quite match the character design, and video quality not matching the original game. That said, damn do these look gorgeous, and it really does help the narrative and explain some of the situations better. The best example of that is, of course, Gravemind. In the original one, he looks like he escaped from the Little House of Horror. He's more comical than threatening. After all, he's supposed to be this ancient evil that has all this knowledge and is bent on assimilating everything. This definitely doesn't look like that. This, on the other hand, certainly does. You see he's a gigantic worm, he looks like he's made out of flesh, there's a little bit of blood just around him, and you see teeth among rows of teeth inside of him. He looks threatening, he looks kind of evil, he looks like something you don't want to meet in a nightmare, that's for sure, and it ups his threat level because of that. He's no longer this big mystery that he was in Halo 2. This is the only scene he appears in the entire series, and this new look makes him even better. It's kind of a shame he's not a boss fight in any of the Halo games, because that would definitely look cool with this design. But anyways, he's definitely more of a threat, and I like the way he looks and interacts more in this game than he did in the original. Speaking of new content, there's a new cutscene at the beginning of the game that takes place sometime during Halo 5, with Spartan Locke asking the Arbiter for help in finding the Master Chief, and the Arbiter re-encountering what unfolded in Halo 2 to him. So, in a way, this game, I guess, is supposed to happen in flashback. And I do have one real big complaint about the ending. It does end on a cliffhanger.
This is Spartan 117.
Anyone hear me? Over.
Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
Because the developers ran out of time and money to put in an actual real final stage. Yeah, that kind of sucks, but it's kind of surprising despite the amount of cut content from this game's story and gameplay that the finished product turns out so well. It kind of just shows the talent that went into this game. The gameplay in Halo 2 takes what was established in the original Halo. You only have 2 weapons that you're allowed to hold at a time, and most of your health revolves around those recharging shields, but they managed to improve on things even more. First change, no more health and no more health packs. If you get hit without your shields, you're pretty much dead. That said, shields regenerate a lot quicker now and you have more of them. No more trying to find first aid kits and no more worrying about going across the wrong checkpoint while low on health. But they also added in a lot more. Some weapons are allowed to be dual-wielded. While dual-wielding, you can't switch weapons without dropping one, and you have no way to throw your grenades. The game does force you to think about which is the best option, more firepower or the ability to throw an explosive grenade at your opponent. Also, we have a few new bad guys showing up, as the Covenant has added in 2 more races to their lineup. First is the bug-looking aliens that can fly. They go down easier than grunts once you hit them, but they can fly around. They always come in hordes and are really fast and tricky to hit. If you're carrying a light machine gun, they can be no problem, but if you're carrying something else, you're going to have difficulties shooting these buggers down. The next race is the Brutes, and these are the hardest to kill enemy in the game probably. They're the most frustrating race to deal with, and they will be replacing the elites about halfway through the game. They take a lot of damage to bring down, and they can charge at you and knock you out pretty easily. When they pop up, your life is going to be a lot more difficult. The good news is the Brutes bring their own weapons into the fray that make it easier for you to kill them. The Brute Shot is one of my favorite weapons to use in Halo. With the Brute Shot, you can bring down multiple enemies in a single grenade. It's kind of fun to use, and it's got a really fun melee attack, too. As for the stage design, which was my major gripe with the original Halo, a lot has been improved. It's not perfect. I still get lost in some places, but it's nowhere near as frustrating as last time. No repeating areas, and a lot of them are more memorable than the original game. No more generic and bland-looking temples either. Even in the original color palette, each area traveled to is new and interesting. Also, the game is a lot better at making sure you don't get stuck in areas for what seems like forever. The stages aren't too long like last time, and the game for the most part moves along at a lot smoother pace. That said, the game can be frustrating towards the end when it ramps up the difficulty level and you end up dying a lot. Figuring out what you have to do to trigger those checkpoints can be one of the most trickier things about the Halo series. Also, some areas where you're the Arbiter also expect you to use some of those stealth and cloaking devices that the Arbiter has. If you don't, then you're going to end up dying a lot. As far as the ending goes, the final stage of the game isn't really a big disappointment by any means. It's a bit on the short side, but it does give us a real final boss battle against one of the Brutes, and he is fairly challenging. Graphically, like the original Halo Anniversary Collection, you can press the select button to go back to the original Xbox version mode. While Halo 2 didn't need as much paint as the original Halo did, it was already widescreen and didn't suffer some of the stage design problems. The new look is still great for the most part. The areas are a lot more detailed, the Brutes look a lot less freaky and a little more apey, which is the way they should look. And the lighting is a lot better. My only complaint, while the original Halo made things a little bit lighter to see in some of the dark areas, here this one makes some areas too dark. I had to switch in a few places because I couldn't see what the heck was going on in the remake. Again, we also have a better frame rate because of the increased frames, and it does make the game run more smoothly, and it looks great for the most part. And once again, those FMV cutscenes are really well done. The game's music has been remixed quite a bit since the original Halo 2. It's a lot louder and definitely more present. That doesn't mean it's better or worse, it just depends on the scene. Sometimes being a little bit more quieter helps in establishing a tension of the scene, but still, overall the music in this new remix is still really, really good. As for the voice acting goes, we get the same line of actors as the last one, and they all do a really good job. The big addition, though, is that of Keith David as the Arbiter. If you don't know who Keith David is, he played Goliath in the Disney cartoon series Gargoyles. And for those of you who aren't old enough to remember that show, let's just say he has a voice every straight man wishes he had.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, the online multiplayer is still crappy for the Halo 2 maps. It took me way too long to really get attached and to really start playing any of the maps in this version. Still, what I played was okay. They're a lot bigger than the original Halo maps. They're still not as large as some of the maps you get in more modern day first person shooters, but they will do, and they're still pretty fun to play. No nostalgia has to be attached. I give Halo 2 a 4.5 out of 5. It fixed everything that was really wrong with the original Halo for the most part. We have more enemies, we have better weapons, we have the ability to dual wield, and we have better stage design, and the stages look great, especially in the Master Chief Collection. And when you put in those great looking pre-rendered FMV scenes, it's really a big treat. It is kind of a bit of a surprise just listening to the developers talk about how much cut content this game's had that it turned out so good. And it's definitely worth picking up. If you don't have an Xbox One, you can still play the original Xbox version on an Xbox 360, just without the remade graphics. You'll have to stick to the original graphics, of course. So far, the Master Chief Collection has been pretty good on giving me a really great single-player campaign, but as far as the multiplayer goes, it's just frustrating. The matching system on each of these games just suck. When I pull out my Kindle so I can start reading a book while waiting for matchmaking, it means your game's got problems. Well, let's see how Halo 3 turned out. Anyways, this is Tommy signing out. If you want to, feel free to click that subscribe button. I would love to have you as a member of my community. In the meantime, I'm signing out, and I'll see you guys later.